So today I shared a picture that was in my memories from 2017, 6 years ago today. Um, it was the day that I entered Penn Medicine Hospital. I was going through bouts of um, confusion and dementia, and I was losing balance, and I was just really sick for a while, and then even more so after that, until I got the treatment I needed and got better. And that reminded me of what I went through. And, my soon to be ex husband now runs around telling people that, I cheated on him and I did all this nasty stuff to him and blah, 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 blah to gain sympathy. But the reality is that picture is essentially the beginning of the end of our marriage. While I was going through all of that, initially he seemed concerned and he would participate, but I would say he went to probably 2 hospital visits with me. He's never been to my neuro. He never, but one visit in Penn Medicine was the only one he ever made. And in any case, I would call him when I would have these episodes and be scared to death. And I would call him and he would essentially be like, well, what do you want me to do about it? Like, I don't know what's wrong with you. I'm at work. I'm busy. I can't leave this job. I have a deadline. Like, it was always not important to him. Even if I slammed into the walls, I was bleeding, I was cut open, it didn't matter. It was never enough. And in fact, he would actually tell me to call 911. Like, the man wouldn't even make the phone call for me. And but when you're in it and you're in those states of confusion and dementia, and luckily I kept a journal, but you don't really see the whole picture till you're out of it and you're healthy again. And then you go back and you start getting these memories and reading through your notes and your journals, and you're like, for goodness sake, like, really? So, in any case, that picture is when I went to Penn Medicine, and that's when they ultimately diagnosed me with Hashimoto's encephalopathitis. I always mess up that word. And it was the reason why I was having seizures. It was the reason for a lot of things. And here I was, by myself. Through it all, these people that I had run God knows how many errands for and made doctor's appointments and did all of this stuff. And here, the glue was falling apart, and nobody, nobody. And, it was after that as I got better and I got treatment and I got better and I started to really realize what had happened and what I went through, that I was like, this dude's no friend of mine. Like, he's no partner to me. Like, I could have fallen off stairs and died, and he wouldn't have been the wiser. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't put anything in place for me so that I had people, or had accountability. It's not like he'd call and check on me. It's not, it's I literally could have fallen down the steps of the basement doing laundry, and I would have sat there and bled, probably to death, until this man came home from work, only looking for me because dinner wouldn't be ready for him. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that was, once I healed and I was better, that's when I said, we're done. And he, which he was fine with initially. I mean, not fine, it's devastating to end 15-year marriage, but it wasn't to the extreme that it's turned into today. And I do blame his electrocution for that. You know, him getting electrocuted in July of 22 really, really affected his brain. And that was the irony. See, God really loves me. And he often gives me the opportunity for karma, or he lets me see it as it unfolds. And, you know, when Tom got injured, his daughter, I will say Alexis, she was amazing. You know, she stepped up. She went above and beyond. I was so proud of her. She did a lot in the hospital with him. And then even when he was released, she came home. I think she was there 2 weeks with him while he got settled. And then I took over. Now, mind you, I was the only one that ever bathed the man. You know what I mean? There were things Alexis wouldn't do. But there was some irony in that. And I was there every day, changing his bandages, giving him his bath, brushing his teeth, you know. He couldn't use either one of his hands. I would wipe his ass because she refused to do that too. So I would have to wipe him. And of course, he goes to the bathroom like 3 or 4 times a day. So it was frequently. I would have to stay close to the house. I couldn't really leave because God knows when he would need to go to the bathroom, he would get stuck on the toilet, which did happen a few times when I ran for a coffee or something quick. He did wind up getting stuck on the toilet, and so there was a lot. And to think that just a few years prior, he would have never, absolutely never done the same for me. And here I am. And you know, don't think it didn't cross my mind. You know, like, don't think for a second I wasn't like, fuck that dude, because I was. You know, at this point we had separated. I'd filed for divorce in June of 21, so we were separated a little over a year, but did elect to try to cohabitate. And for the betterment of Jacob, obviously. And up until his accident, we were literally pretty close to coming to a deal where, you know, we could just finalize the divorce. He was dating, I was dating, and he was dating a trauma nurse at the time of his accident. The irony. Because then she broke up with him the day he came home. The day he was released, she broke up with him. He blames me for that too. Like, and but it crossed my mind. But I'll tell you, as I stated, I started dating. I met my boyfriend in October of 21, 4 months after I filed for divorce. And he is a U.S. citizen, originally from Nigeria. And he moved here when he was like 27. It's like 17 years ago. And he came on an education visa, got a PhD in psychology. That's a whole nother thing by itself, because he called everything Tom did, he lined out for me. He said, this is going to get really ugly before it gets any better. And he lined it all out. Like, so I did have forewarning. But anyways, I met him, and he's Nigerian, and he travels back and forth to Nigeria frequently, as he has family and companies and whatever out there. So, after we were dating about 6 months, I started a separate TikTok, and for the African network. And I did this so the algorithms wouldn't be messed up from my Ray Johnson American account to, you know, my African account. I wanted them separate, and I wanted to learn. And I feel like the best way to learn is not reading books, but it's actually to get around the people that are associated or doing, they're there. They're residents, it's their country, they're citizens. Like, I really wanted to get a full feel of what I was getting myself into. So I started getting around these networks, and basically, Nigerians and Cameroonians and Ghanaians and basically Western Africa, they're very spiritual. And no, they're not just Muslims. And I know that's like the knee-jerk reaction. Oh, well, they're Muslims. No, they're not. Nigerians, so Nigeria is separated by states, just like us here in the United States. But they're also separated by tribes. So my boyfriend is from the Yoruba tribe. And in the Yoruba tribe, they're mostly Christian. In Nigeria, if you get to the north and the northwest side of Nigeria is where you run into predominantly Muslim territory. And that's where the Hausa tribe is, mostly. Obviously, everyone lives wherever they want, but that's where it originated, right? So, the Yorubas are mostly Christian, so are the Igbos. And, getting around those people, really has helped me, and it has helped my relationship with God. Because they pray a lot. And they pray in the morning, they pray in the afternoon, they pray in the evening, church is like mandated, they're very spiritual. So in being around them, and my relationship with God has strengthened, for sure. And that was honestly the reason why I didn't just say fuck him. Because they were trying to say, workers' comp was like, oh, we can't get a nurse there. It's too far out. There's not any available, blah, 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 all this shit. And I'm like, well, I guess he's got to go to somewhere where they can get a nurse then, like one of his family. But because of my relationship with God, I said, okay, he's still a child of God, and I need to do what's right by my faith. And this is what God would want me to do, I believe. So I did, and I took care of him, and I endured all of that, including the sexual harassment. Obviously when I would be bathing him, he would, advance and stick his penis in my face, and But I told him at one point, finally, I was just like, look, if you don't stop, I'm just going to stop bathing you, because we're not doing this. Hire somebody to come in here, do whatever you got to do. Get your daughter to bring in a friend of hers or something, but not it. So in any case, going back to that, I endured whatever I needed to endure, but his mental status started to decline. And he started to become, it's like an extreme version of bipolar, where the cycling from extreme sadness to extreme rage was pretty fast. And he all of a sudden had a problem with no matter what I did. If it wasn't directly benefiting him, he had a problem with it. And he was just attacking me verbally, regularly. Verbally, emotionally, not physically yet. And it got so bad that he started ripping the cameras out of the walls and turning off the power so the cameras wouldn't work, and would shut down the internet, and he started stealing the stuff from my bedroom. But it was like, he stole all of my jewelry. Like, all of my jewelry is gone. But he stole every bit of lace I had in my panty drawer. Anything with lace. Anything, any bra with lace, he stole it all. Any of my toys, bedroom toys, they were all gone. He stole my passport. my social security card, my birth certificate, any form of identification. He had my wallet. And then at nighttime, he would come in and steal my cell phone while I slept. He would steal it during the day too. Like, I'd be out in the living room or whatever, and I'd have my cell phone, and I'd like go to the bathroom or go to my bedroom and leave my cell phone. Like, I don't attach my cell phone to my hip 24/7, and he would take it. And it would disappear. Anisha Gel's phone disappeared for weeks. It was gone. And then when the service was cut off to it is when it was found by Tom. Like, it was it was torture. I went to Sam's at one point and did like a $500 order of, toilet paper and paper towels and stuff like that. And he stole it the very next day. It was all gone. The food, the toilet paper, the paper towels, everything was gone. And it's not like I had any money, like he wasn't helping. So, it was brutal. It was just the weirdest things were disappearing. He knew my favorite painting in the house. That disappeared. You know what I mean? My lighthouse stuff started disappearing. Things I needed to cook and clean started disappearing. Like, it was just the weirdest stuff. And I'm surprised, like, my laptop never went missing. But I guess he figured I needed that for work. But it was pretty much anything I sat down or was important to me disappeared. Much of which is still gone today. And the only piece of jewelry I have is the ring that's still around my neck. Anyways, God let me watch. God gave me the opportunity to, enforce karma, and I didn't. But I think that ultimately was a part of his guilt, because he knows what he did to me for 2 years. He knows what he did to me. And here I am given the opportunity for revenge, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I did right by him, even though I know in a reverse situation, it would have never been the same. Only to ultimately have him force me out of the house that I own, and that's my my thank you. That's my thank you. Yeah. So that's my memory for today. I think I'll start doing these as memories come up and thoughts come to my head. But so that's it for today. First voice note, 20 minutes.